thanks for coming this morning. Thanks for coming last night. Jordan, same to you. Thanks for coming last night.
Thanks for having me. And I just want to, before we even start, I just want to start by saying thank you. You guys, the team at Relay was just spectacular to work with over the last 3 years on Playmaker, and we wouldn't have been able to do what we did in the time frame we did without you and the entire team's help.
Thank you. It was a pleasure working with you too. And we want to do it again. And the one thing you left out of his bio is that he's recently joined the board of Enthusiast Gaming, which is also one of our early assets that we hope to turn into a Playmaker type company. Significant cash flow and a good exit.
Sounds good.
I think everyone knows this, but one of the verticals that Alex put up on the screen was sports tech. So we've been investing in that vertical since the beginning of time, even pre-Relay, and have made significant investments in sports tech media companies, sport tech technology. A lot of the companies are sitting in the room, but Fun Technologies that was bought by Liberty Media, and we hope to sell another company in the near future to Liberty Media, and other companies like that, Quick Play Media, I can't remember all of them. But one of the things Relay has always done is we've incubated companies within our office or within our surrounding and come up with some ideas with founders like Jordan that came to be because of our domain and our experience. So, and that's true with Playmaker and Mob Squad, the Lake, Bird Canada, and the curling group that you'll hear about later today. So some of them were highly involved with and the idea, and some of them were highly involved with getting them off the ground and sort of take a founder's role in addition to writing a seed check into the round. And one of the things that we started back in 2019, I believe, was Playmaker, with the idea that we would do something within sport tech and media and have it incubated inside our office. When we did that, we reached out to a lot of people that had expertise in different parts of sports and media, one of them being Jordan. And Jordan was nice enough at that time to join the board of advisors. You were currently working at PokerStars, I think, at that time.
Yep.
And we threw a lot of ideas at Jordan, and actually we threw some at John Levy, even though John was busy building his own empire. We reached out to all our sporting experts, threw ideas at them, had people come in the office, present, and John and Jordan in particular would always kill every deal that came into the office, which is normal for all founders, I believe. If they can't do it, no one can do it, is sort of their attitude. And eventually Jordan became free, and as a free agent. And so we started talking more often instead of once a week and once a month. It became every day. And Jordan came up with the idea of what Playmaker should do. And then he went from being a board advisor to a founder and CEO of the company. And that was the beginning of Relay's real investment. And we felt like we were co-founders of the company with Jordan, and certainly treated ourselves like we were. So Jordan was really focused on, in his career, I believe, fan engagement and high quality content. And so one of the things, I guess before we get into the Playmaker itself, Jordan, what your vision was, is Emily said a fair bit about you. I don't know if you want to add to it. I would like you to add to it. I think there's some things she didn't mention. And maybe from your perspective, how we came together, because it was kind of,
Sure.
Manifested.
So I've been in the gambling industry for 20 plus years, and what I really enjoyed about business in general is just building businesses. And I'm not a startup guy. I sort of don't I have a very high allergy to losing money, and so I'm a roll-up guy. I really love the idea of finding good businesses, finding great people, looking at a domain, building a business based on understanding gaps within the desired business plan that you have, and buying companies that fill those gaps with great leaders within that business and deeply integrating those businesses together. Playmaker was the third one that I had done. In the gambling industry, I've anything you can think of, I have done it from owning and operating your grandma's bingo hall to the most sophisticated online gambling systems, running sports betting across different portfolios for large public companies in the US. But ultimately, there's a common theme. The common theme is partnering with great co-entrepreneurs, people who really are willing to dive into a vision, and people who are willing to buy into a culture. And every one of our successful roll-ups have been built around a culture of really high level of execution, where we are really focused on finding the best companies, putting them together, that deep integration, then ultimately sticking to the guns that we've got as our business plan and executing it. And partnering with Relay was just another example of doing that with Playmaker in the sports betting, media, and technology space.
And one of the unusual things that you actually did was you beat Relay in the past over time has probably had an average life from first investment to liquidity of around 8.5 years, right? And given the recent environment, it's going to be even longer given the last 2 years. You, in 3.5 years, built a company that had no revenue to significant revenue, significant cash flow, and sold the company. How did you do it? Like, how do you achieve it?
Yeah.
And then let's talk about not only how you did it, but why you actually decided to sell the company 3.5 years later. Like, you built something that took a lot of work with a lot of great people, and they're all running at 100% for you, and the company had no dire reason to sell. You were cash flow positive. You had as much capital as you want. You could have bought another 10 companies if you wanted. Why did you decide to sell so quickly? Well, what appears to be so quickly?
So start with the first part, what we built, how we built it, and ultimately how we got to our exit. When we started with this idea of Playmaker, one of the first questions we got in January of 2021, which, if you remember January 2021, you were Zoom dialing for dollars, and we'd finish calls after 45 minutes, and someone would say, "I'm in for 500." I go, "Is that dollars? 500,000? What did they say?" We just sent them a note saying, "You're in for 500,000. Yes, thank you." And you were just falling over money, and it was a very interesting time. And we had a PowerPoint with a great idea, but the way we really thought about building this business was to be crystal clear on tackling a problem. The problem we saw was online sports betting was going to be coming into regulated markets from the top of Canada to the bottom of Argentina. And if you take a look at that newly regulating market, there was going to be a whole bunch of participants in this space. There are going to be operators who are going to have this great opportunity, high risk, high reward. You're going to have really basic technology providers who have low risk, low reward in terms of margin. And in the middle is a whole bunch of stuff that makes the whole ecosystem work. But the ecosystem of sports betting doesn't work unless you have the one most important ingredient, which is actually a player to put $20 and make a bet. Otherwise, you have a really cool piece of technology, a nice PowerPoint slide. And in the end, we decided we were going to go out and build this ecosystem of sports fans. In Europe, the advent of the iPhone. So this is June 29th, 2007, iPhone 1 comes out. And in Europe, sports betting was already big. The iPhone became a tool to rapidly increase your ability to sports bet. In 2018, in 2018, sports betting comes along in the US, everyone's already got an iPhone. And our thesis was we could either be an affiliate, those companies who look for high-intent small audiences in order to deliver them sports betting, or what we could be is a high-volume, massive audience aggregator, top of funnel, and ultimately move them down into sports betting operators. And that's what we set out to do, because the iPhone in our world, in North America and South America, actually is a consumption tool, of which now betting was going to be a part of. So our view was media is going to be the lead, rather than betting was going to be a lead. So we went out and acquired media businesses. Our strategy was to buy a portfolio company of scale, platform in Latin America, in the US, and in Canada. We did that with the Nation Network in Canada, Yardbarker in the US, and football sites in Latin America. And our acquisition targets were platform, bolt-ons, or add-ons to what we currently had. And the ability to buy each one of those and integrate them in was really the strong sort of focus of our team in our culture. And our culture was a very, very simple one-word culture, and the culture was belonging. And we wanted to buy companies that felt like they would belong in our business. We used a combination of cash, stock, and earnouts as a way to make sure that we gave people enough money to feel good about the work that they had done up till now. We gave them enough equity so that they were going to create wealth alongside us. And ultimately, an earnout was there just to bridge the gap between buyer's desire and our very, very focused willingness to make sure that on an all-in basis, we never paid more than 5 times EBITDA on any one of our deals. And a keen focus on profitability. So this great business we built in our last year of public reporting, we had $55 million in revenue or $15 million in EBITDA. Why did we sell this company? In 2022, Q4 was the World Cup. And we had the greatest quarter I could have ever imagined that we would ever achieve in our entire lives. There would never be another World Cup in a Q4. And Q4 in the advertising and media industry is your biggest quarter. So you take those two worlds converging when we had a massive Latin American audience, and we beat our analysts. We beat them 100% of our analysts, 100% year-over-year growth, organic growth in revenue, 100% year-over-year growth organically in EBITDA, crushed our analysts. We announced this thing, we're all super excited, and our stock goes down 20%. And we sort of looked at each other in our office and said, that's not working. So we got to come up with something else to do here. And I think that was our trigger moment. That's when we said the efficiency of a public market isn't there anymore for small caps. This is March of 2023. We need to really rethink. Either we take the company private, which was one of our approaches. We spoke to a few different private equity funds about actually taking the company private ourselves. And we knew we could do that very well, and the stock was trading in around 45 cents. But in the end, in order, I as the founder, shareholder, CEO, and board member, I wear 3 hats. And I got outvoted 1 to 2 on that one, which is the only hat that mattered, which is really your director hat in a public company. And in the end, we had to run a process and put our fiduciary duties ahead of everything else. And in doing that, Better Collective came to the table with an offer. And I've been telling the markets for well over a year that with all the small deals we've done, the next deal we're going to do is transformative. And we're going to do something where we need to either double our size, triple our size, but do something where we were going to no longer be small cap. We're going to be a much bigger company. And I know we say we sold to Better Collective, but in the end, I view that as the transformative acquisition that we had been talking about. The deal was a combination of stock and cash. It was at an over 40% premium to market. And so from a shareholder perspective, this was the second time that I didn't want to sell a company, but I actually did it for all of the right reasons in a market where it was going to be hard to see liquidity for our shareholders in a very illiquid small cap market. We had to do what was absolutely right for the shareholders. At the same time, Better Collective is a phenomenal business. And you've got a business there with 2 entrepreneurs who started in 2004 and are the 2 largest shareholders of the company still today, the CEO and the COO. They've never sold shares, and they're hyper focused on the growth of that business. So the idea of getting a chance to partner with them, guys I'd known for over 5 years, and give our shareholders a chance to go alongside the ride with them was something that was very, very exciting for us to be able to pull off.
I guess two things just to close out. One would be we were very appreciative of what you built and what you sold. In the transaction, we got more cash back than we actually invested, and we have the upside of the new, larger company today, so that was great. And then I think I should mention 2 things, because there's 2 people here. So Marianne Turk, who's going to be on stage later today, was your chair and then became a board member because of the work involved. And so we at Relay want to thank Marianne, and we'll continue to thank her for future things. And Mike Cook, who was also your CFO, has worked in many Relay companies. He's also here today, and he's also part of a new venture that Marianne's involved with. So they're both hats off.
That's
and
great.
Thank you to both.
You can rent them. You can rent them both for a while.
Okay, thank you very much.
I may need them again in the future at some point.
Okay, we're done.
That's great. Thanks, John.